Je suis Monsieur Zarny Philippe, gérant du bar brasserie Le Windsor.
Okay, so what he did is he said his last name and then his first name. We'll play it again.
Je suis Monsieur Zarny Philippe, gérant du bar brasserie Le Windsor.
Okay, and then I'll play the next paragraph.
Le Windsor, donc, à Angers. Racontez-moi ce que consomment en général les gens qui viennent dans votre établissement, les Français. Donc, les habitudes, c'est quoi? Café, demi, verre de vin?
I'll play it again, maybe twice more, okay?
Le Windsor, donc, à Angers. Racontez-moi ce que consomment en général les gens qui viennent dans votre établissement, les Français. Donc, les habitudes, c'est quoi? Café, demi, verre de vin? Le Windsor, donc, à Angers. Racontez-moi ce que consomment en général les gens qui viennent dans votre établissement, les Français. Donc, les habitudes, c'est quoi? Café, demi, verre de vin?
Okay, so let's see what we heard. How much of this did we hear? Did you catch the name of the town? Angers, that might be a town you don't even know. It's in the Loire Valley.
I could hear it.
You heard that one? Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else? Anybody? I'll play this again while we're looking at uh, we want to see if we can hear all of the words that we see in the transcript.
Le Windsor, donc, à Angers. Racontez-moi ce que consomment en général les gens qui viennent dans votre établissement, les Français. Donc, les habitudes, c'est quoi? Café, demi, verre de vin? Le Windsor, donc, à Angers. Racontez-moi ce que consomment en général les gens qui viennent dans votre établissement, les Français. Donc, les habitudes, c'est quoi? Café, demi, verre de vin?
Okay. We'll move on unless there are any questions. I'll play this twice and then the next one twice.
Oui, je suppose que c'est un peu partout la même chose. C'est le matin, c'est le café, puis bon, après, le demi de bière, et puis l'après-midi, bah, surtout les jus de fruits, Perrier, Coca. Oui, je suppose que c'est un peu partout la même chose. C'est le matin, c'est le café, puis bon, après, le demi de bière, et puis l'après-midi, bah, surtout les jus de fruits, Perrier, Coca.
Okay, so what did we hear there?
Yeah, the difficult bit for me, I think, is the c'est surtout the jus de fruits. That's very
Mhm.
fast for me.
Hard to hear.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll play it again twice or maybe once. Everybody make sure you can follow through and then we'll focus on that little part. So I'm going to play all the way to this word coca.
Uh, David,
Yep,
just
right.
what section are you in so I can find it faster? Which track?
This is track 5.
Track 5, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oui, je suppose que c'est un peu partout la même chose. C'est le matin, c'est le café, puis bon, après, le demi de bière, et puis l'après-midi, bah, surtout les jus de fruits, Perrier, Coca.
Okay, so let's play surtout les jus de fruits.
Tous les jus de fruits, Perrier,
Ah.
Coca. L'après-midi, bah, surtout les jus de fruits.
Okay, so what may be making that a little bit difficult is it the bain that comes in front? Does that make it a little bit difficult? Let's see.
Bah, surtout les jus de,
Well,
bah, surtout les jus de fruits.
it may be that the fact that the de, the muti in the de is not pronounced, so it's jus de fruits, jus de fruits.
Ah. Yeah, could that be what's causing the problem? I'll play it again. Let's see, we're playing, I think this is
Surtout les jus de fruits, surtout les jus de fruits, surtout les jus de fruits.
And the say probably starts over here. Let's see.
Dit, bah, surtout les jus de fruits.
That's bain surtout. Maybe the surtout might start around here.
Bah, surtout les jus de fruits. Bah, surtout les jus de fruits. Bah, surtout les jus de fruits.
Does that sound better for everybody? Are you catching it yet?
So les jus de fruits is just 3 syllables. Les jus de fruits. Fruits.
Yeah. So what Ray's referring to there is he's perhaps he's just closing his mouth for as if he were going to pronounce the D, the de, but he doesn't really pronounce it. Jus de fruits, instead of jus de fruits. Is that what he says?
Bah, surtout les jus de fruits. Bah, surtout les jus de fruits.
Okay.
The word surtout to me is very difficult. It's like he swallows sur, you know? It's not really surtout. It's more like surtout. I can just hear the two.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Bah, surtout. Surtout. Surtout les.
Surtout les.
Surtout les. Surtout les.
You hear the two more than the rest. That's tous les. This is.
Tous les jus.
That's tous les jus.
Tous les jus. Tous les jus.
Jus.
Sur tous les jus.
Sur tous les jus. Sur tous les jus.
I think probably what will happen is that now that you know what he says, when you're listening without the transcript, the first couple of times what will happen is you won't remember because logically you might not remember that he said that. Of course, because we've gone over it, probably yes, you will. But then on the fifth time when you're listening and you're listening for other things in this, that surtout, because you're used to the pattern, you'll know what surtout sounds like and it'll just flow through and you won't think about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I hope and that's what my experience is.
Very good.
Okay. Sound good? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go to, let's play, actually I'll hide this a little bit. Hopefully you haven't studied those lines and now the only reason I hide this is just because you might find it fun to test yourself a little bit. So I'll play twice the next little bit.
Bon, l'alcool de moins en moins, bien sûr, mais de temps en temps l'apéritif, mais c'est surtout basé sur les boissons sans alcool, quoi. Bon, l'alcool de moins en moins, bien sûr, mais de temps en temps l'apéritif, mais c'est surtout basé sur les boissons sans alcool, quoi.
So you hear the famous quoi at the end of the sentence if I go to the end of that or the end of this little bit.
Les boissons sans alcool, quoi.
You hear the quoi? A little bit?
Les boissons sans alcool.
So I'll show that little bit. So we're playing from bon right here. And we're going to play, you're going to hear this quoi, but it's kind of an offhand quoi. I think you might agree. It's not a loud, clear quoi. Let's play from bon.
Bon, l'alcool de moins en moins, bien sûr, mais de temps en temps l'apéritif, mais c'est surtout basé sur les boissons sans alcool, quoi. Bon,
Yeah.
l'alcool.
Really. Really hidden.
Oh, the quoi?
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of he swallows is this de temps en temps. He doesn't pronounce it as clearly as we might hope or expect.
Mhm.
Bon, l'alcool de moins en moins, bien sûr, mais de temps en temps l'apéritif, mais c'est surtout basé sur les boissons sans alcool, quoi.
So the first de, he's not
Right
really
here.
pronouncing the muties, so you're just kind of the mouth is going there, but the mouth's in the same position for the T, so there's almost nothing to hear about the de once the mute E goes away. He'll close his mouth, but you aren't going to get an enunciated D, so made de temps en temps. Made de
Right.
temps en temps.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I say, especially because the D and the T are the same place in the mouth, there's almost nothing to, maybe a little extension, a little more length, but that's about all.
Let's see if we can hear the temps en temps.
De temps en temps.
That's about it. I think that's the mais right there. This bubble right here.
Mais de temps en temps, l'apéritif.
Wow. I thought we were going to hear a hint of a D there, but I'm not sure we do.
All you hear is that his mouth closes before he starts the temps en temps.
Mais
Wow. Yeah.
Mais temps en temps.
Sometimes this makes me smile. This stuff's crazy.
de temps en temps, l'apéritif.
Temps en temps. So what I think is going on is if a person said, let's start over. The de is there, even though he doesn't pronounce it. It's there in a way because probably the rest of the sound pattern is different because of the de. Because if he were saying something that we don't say, which is mais de temps en temps would sound different than mais de temps en temps.
Mm.
But so what's happening is, so intellectually we need to know the de is there, and then you're going to start hearing it, even though it's not there, because there's something about the way he says may, something about the end of this part, or the amount of pause here. Ray, you are an expert on this stuff, so correct me if you want to add to your. But I would say there's something about there's something hinting at the de. It's either the way the amount of pause here, the way he ends the may. There's something that would make this sound pattern different than it would be if he were saying mais de temps en temps. Do you agree?
I agree completely, and I think it's basically there's that little bit of a extra closure that if you would, even though he pauses mais de temps en temps, but there's that little mais, is that tiny little hesitation. It's not a full syllable, but just when that mouth closes into that position before he actually says temps en temps, mais de temps en temps.
Yeah.
Different than mais de temps en temps. And you almost have to do it in your mouth a couple times yourself to sort of, at least my impression, to kind of feel the difference before you can sort of hear the difference. That's at least how it works. It works for me. I have to try those things out different ways and see which one just sort of has the right feel to it. It's not exactly just the ears somehow. It's a little more of a visceral sense of what's going on. If you have something like Audacity that you could slow it down 20% or 30% or something, and then try to say things along with him, you can begin to get the feel of how the flow goes in the mouth. Yeah. Frankly, at full speed, I can't say things directly right along with him at full speed. I have to slow it down about at least 20% or so before I can get my mouth to move quickly enough to do those things.
Let's go. I'm going to play the next little bit. Any other questions about that or comments? Let's play the next little bit. So I'm playing these without you seeing it so that you can kind of think about whether you hear things, and then you can hopefully be happy that you did. Like maybe you heard him the few sentences back talk about coffee in the morning, and then the quoi. Are we okay with the quoi? Let's see. It's a offhand type of quoi, and I think it's one of the versions of quoi that you will recognize after you've listened to this a few times. That version of quoi, you'll know what's going on there. It might have been, if you didn't know about quoi and you were just listening and you went to France and you had never known that people say quoi sometimes in their sentences, this one would probably just be a noise to you, but now you recognize it. Let's play the quoi one more time.
Tout basé sur les boissons sans alcool, quoi.
Good quoi.
Tout basé sur les boissons sans alcool, quoi.
Okay. Next little bit, and this part is not on the screen, but you can kind of think about whether you hear the word, whether you're catching it.
Et alors les pourboires, comment ça marche? Est-ce que ça fait partie des coutumes de laisser un pourboire?
So pourboire is the theme of this interview. It's the word for a tip.
Et alors les pourboires, comment ça marche? Est-ce que ça fait partie des coutumes de laisser un pourboire?
Yes, Ray, I hear you have a question or something.
Oh, no, just something that originally you gave the bartender something to buy himself a drink. Pourboire, to drink.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is that okay? So I thought of it as
that's
being
kind of the
for a
origin
drink.
of the word, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Oh, pardon, say again? Ask again?
Oh,
At least
me, I
someone
just
told
said
me
that was
yeah.
interesting.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so do we hear all of this? So I'll play it one more time. Do we hear all of the words we see on the screen?
Et alors les pourboires, comment ça marche? Est-ce que ça fait partie des coutumes de laisser un pourboire?
Probably pretty straightforward, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know about fait partie, faire partie? Something is part of something else?
Mm.
That'll be in the flashcards for this lesson. Okay, so next little bit, let's see if we can hear. You can see the top line there.
Oh, vous savez, moi, ça fait 40 ans que je fais ce métier-là. C'est sûr que les 30 premières années, les pourboires, bon, bah, c'était presque pas une obligation, mais disons que les gens laissaient couramment quelque chose dans l'assiette, quoi.
Okay, how about again?
Oh, vous savez, moi, ça fait 40 ans que je fais ce métier-là. C'est sûr que les 30 premières années, les pourboires, bon, bah, c'était presque pas une obligation, mais disons que les gens laissaient couramment quelque chose dans l'assiette, quoi.
He's talking about l'assiette. He's talking about the little plate, because I guess when you get served a coffee, it's going to be in a little plate. So he's talking about them leaving something in the little plate. Let's take a look at this on the screen. And so is anybody pleasantly surprised at words that they heard or recognized?
I definitely got the clause a lot better in this section.
Yeah, right here at the end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was much more pronounced.
Good. Okay, let's listen. Is there anything he's dropping here?
Oh, vous savez, moi,
Maybe the vous.
ça fait 40 ans que je fais ce métier-là. C'est sûr que les 30 premières années, les pourboires, bon, bah, c'était presque pas une obligation, mais disons que les gens laissaient couramment quelque chose dans l'assiette, quoi.
Right.
Well, I would say that there's two places that he's dropping a mutie that I noticed. My mind sort of fills it in the first time, so I had to see the print to see. But he'll say, ça fait 40 ans que je fais.
Yeah, you want to. Okay.
I think he only has two syllables there. 40 ans que je fais.
Okay.
We can listen carefully, but I thought I heard him say it kind of that way. And then,
Okay, let's.
And then, mais disons que les gens, I think he drops the mutie in que. Mais
Oui,
disons,
probably.
disons que les,
Yeah.
I think I
disons
heard
que
that
les
as well.
gens.
Okay.
We can listen, but I have a feeling that's what he did.
Okay. I'm going to stop it right after que je fais.
Okay.
Oh, vous savez, moi, ça fait 40 ans.
Ah, not too early.
Too soon.
40 ans que je fais ce
Que je fais.
métier. Que je fais ce métier.
Que je fais ce métier-là.
And
que je fais ce
because
métier-là,
of the
c'est sûr.
combination, okay, because of the combination there, the je fais will probably come out a little bit less like je fais, but a little bit more like que je fais. They'll sound a little more like an sh sound, like when you hear people say je sais pas when they're going to say je.
Yeah, let's listen. Also, that we've got a que sound at the end of a k sound at the end of 40 ans, perhaps, right? 40 ans que, 40 ans que. I don't know.
40 ans que je fais ce métier-là.
So
Que je
I heard
fais.
the que. Well, Yeah, I mean, it pushes the next syllable.
All
He
right.
pronounced the muti on que, but not the next one. And it is one of
40
those
ans que je,
little,
40 ans que je,
they're not exactly formal rules, but you don't usually drop mutis in two successive syllables because it just lines up too many consonants. So
Yeah.
usually if you're going to drop one on one side, you're not going to drop both of them. He maybe could have said 40 ans que je fais, or he could have said, which I think he did, 40 ans que je fais.
40 ans
And
que je,
listen for the sound change on shve.
Let's
Shve.
see. Okay, let's see if I'm playing the right part.
40 ans que je fais ce métier,
Let me play it like this.
40 ans que je fais ce métier-là, 40 ans que je fais ce métier-là, 40 ans que je fais ce métier-là.
Que je fais, que je fais, que je fais. And then there was another one. Disons que, c'est ça? Disons
That's the
que.
one. Yeah, I didn't note. I'd say sûr que. I think he said que and say sûr que, but at least I didn't pick up that he didn't on that
Yeah, let's listen to that.
Je fais ce métier-là, c'est sûr que les 30 premières années, les pourboires, bon, bah, c'était presque pas une obligation, mais disons que les gens ont laissé,
Oui.
disons que les gens,
Mais
disons
disons
que les
que les
gens,
gens.
Yeah.
And especially it moves to the next. Well, disons clé. Disons
que les gens,
is one
Disons
syllable,
clé.
two syllables. Disons clé.
et disons que les gens ont laissé,
Yeah. Here's the clé.
que les gens, que les gens ont laissé,
Right. Now, okay, yeah, go ahead. Emily, did you have something for us?
No, sorry.
No problem. So
But yeah, that
now,
did help a lot hearing
yeah.
it.
Okay, so oops, I'm giving you the answer here. Let's play the next little bit. Okay, and then we heard a qua at the end, didn't we? I want you to play that again.
dans l'assiette, quoi. Dans l'assiette, quoi.
Now you know that we all know that you don't have to add qua to your conversation. It's not something that makes you sound more educated or okay. You don't need to add qua if you're
It's kind of like a lot of you knows in English.
right.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
you know, you know, you know.
It gets kind of tiring. Okay, next little bit.
Mais maintenant, non, maintenant, c'est plus d'actualité parce que c'est vrai que les consommations sont déjà assez chères. Alors non, les gens, c'est rare. Les étrangers en laissent un peu plus, mais bon, c'est très rare de toute façon, hein.
All right, let me play again. Do you hear him mentioning foreigners?
Mhm.
You hear that? And what I like about it, he says, les étrangers, he bends his sound a little bit, kind of like the way he does it.
Mais
Here we go.
maintenant, non, maintenant, c'est plus d'actualité parce que c'est vrai que les consommations sont déjà assez chères. Alors non, les gens, c'est rare. Les étrangers en laissent un peu plus, mais bon, c'est très rare de toute façon, hein.
Oops, I went too far. Here we are. Tiny bit more. I'm trying to get it all on the screen for you. Okay, I'll play again. Is there anything that anybody notices that you'd like to hear again? Oops, playing the...
Mais maintenant, non, maintenant, c'est plus d'actualité parce que c'est vrai que les consommations sont déjà assez chères. Alors non, les gens, c'est rare. Les étrangers en laissent un peu plus, mais bon, c'est très rare de toute façon, hein.
You can almost hear him when he says les étrangers, you can almost hear him like, kind of, I don't know. I picture him like this. Should we move on, or is there anything you want to ask about that one?
Just the place where it says c'est plus, he probably says play c'est plus d'actualité. I just want to hear exactly.
Yeah, let's play that again.
Usually when it would connect, if the S is going to be sounded, it's going to sound a little bit more like a Z on beginning the next syllable. But let me hear what he actually said.
Okay, what are we listening for again? Which part, right?
You have it as a green box around it right now.
Right. Okay, so we're listening for a Z sound?
Yeah, and I'm assuming he doesn't say, I'm assuming it's positive, and so well, no, we could say c'est plus d'actualité. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he's going to.
Hmm.
Clue
Let's
is one of those
listen.
tricky things. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's listen and then we'll explain to everybody because not everybody, I bet, knows about the when you pronounce the S there and when you don't. So let's listen and see. I think we're listing for I think Ray and I are on the same page. We're listening for for the S here and for the S over here. Okay. Let's listen for those two.
Mais maintenant, non, maintenant, c'est plus d'actualité parce que c'est vrai que les
One
consommateurs.
more time.
Mais maintenant, non, maintenant, c'est plus d'actualité parce que c'est vrai.
Okay.
So he doesn't pronounce it, and he shouldn't grammatically because when plus means no longer in the negative sense, one shouldn't pronounce the S.
Right.
I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it just says c'est plus d'actualité. Certainly not he said certainly c'est plus, he didn't continue.
Right.
Well, actually, yeah. Well, I'd say no longer here in this case, but yeah. But
Right.
there's various negatives. Yeah.
Right. So what's going on is, okay, well, let's say this. Does this make sense to everybody? Some of you may not know this. I didn't know until I got to France and was having a conversation and couldn't express myself. The person couldn't understand me.
Well, and that you might on the first one, you might just take note because of these, again, these assimilations. If you're going to hear more dove, plus de, you'll usually
All
hear
right.
the S will typically sound to your ears like a Z, mainly because it's just being pushed on to the next syllable, plus de.
Okay.
It picks up the voicing from the D. It's one of those
Okay.
places where you put your mouth in the right place and plus de,
Right.
and you won't you wouldn't hear plus de usually.
Right. Okay. And another thing I was going to mention about this is that when he said c'est plus, we don't need to hear the n to know that he's saying it's no longer. Okay. We knew that even without the context. We knew that he was saying it's no longer because he didn't pronounce the S. If we had heard the S right up here, if we had heard this S, he would have been saying it's more or it's rather it's this instead of something. He would say it's more often blah, blah, blah. So hopefully that makes sense and I haven't confused you. And if you didn't follow, all you need to know is that sometimes the S is pronounced en plus. It's pronounced plus, even though that breaks the rules that you learned in your grammar classes. Because the rule you learned was a final S is not going to be pronounced. But the French have to pronounce it to distinguish between more and no more, or like no longer. They have to pronounce this S when it's not negated, when there's no negation.
Can we hear that one again?
Yeah. So let's play it.
Mais maintenant, non, maintenant, c'est plus d'actualité parce que c'est vrai. Mais maintenant, non, maintenant, c'est plus d'actualité parce que c'est vrai.
Yeah, it's like, as you say, it rolls into the D, doesn't it?
Well,
it does. This second one.
I don't think it's pronounced there at all. But if you were going to say more things, plus de choses, something like that, then it would roll in a positive sense, plus de choses, but it would sound to your ears more like a Z than like an S.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. So what we're saying and we'll look at the sound to see if we're right. But what we're saying is that he pronounces a D and not an S. He doesn't say plus. He doesn't say plus d'actualité. He says plus d'actualité is what we're saying the theory is. So let's see if we can. Would that be interesting to you to see if we're correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So
C'est plus d'ac-
that's the C.
c'est plus d'ac-
And so we're saying that that there's no S in here. There's after plus, he goes straight to a D sound.
c'est plus d'ac-
Yeah. And so it's a slight distinction, but it's a distinction that your ear will start making because you're going to hear this knowing what he said. You're going to be listening to this knowing what he means. So it's all going to just kind of gel where the sounds that he makes turn into a meaning in your head without you thinking about all this. You're thinking about it the first few times, but after, because you know what the conversation's about and you hear the sound and it all makes sense, and then later you stop really noticing even stuff like this. It just all makes sense to you without you really having to think about it. But if anybody's experience is different, you can tell me and we can talk about it. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I think,
Go ahead.
yeah, I want to be careful here.
Mhm.
If it's in a positive sense, okay, if you're going to make a liaison,
Right.
it's usually going to sound like a Z sound, like before a vowel. Plus important. You wouldn't say plus important.
Right.
You say plus important. I know that. Il est plus tourmenté. You know what? I think that if you're not making the liaison, even in the positive sense, if he's more tormented, I'm just trying to think of some word that doesn't
Il,
begin with a vowel.
il est plus intéressé. Je suis plus intéressé par.
That's a vowel.
Ouais. Je suis donc plus, but I would pronounce
think that's
now.
a
I don't
word.
know. I'm not French. We all
think
agree.
I'd say, no, I think I'd say, il est plus tourmenté. I don't think I would, if it's not a liaison, I don't think I would pronounce it at all. But that's,
I think
maybe I'm drawing us too far afield here, so we don't have to go there now.
yeah, but it's yeah. Okay. What I would say, but we probably are getting too far afield because I want to move on. We've got another. Okay, let's keep on moving.
And I will say that if plus means when you're doing like an addition, a sum of things, then it would actually come out plus. Un plus un est deux. 1 plus 1 is 2. Un plus un. And usually, for some reason, if it's to the end of a sentence, I'll often I will hear the S. Something de plus, something of more.
Right. Un truc de plus. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, and I think our favorite Trudy book, I think she has 3 pages or something on plus.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
all the nuances. So
yeah.
Not sure I catch all of them.
Yeah. Because okay. And Mike, were you about to mention something?
The other interesting word on here is huh, which I can never pronounce. The end word, the hein.
Yeah. Oh. So I say
Yeah, just like a huh. We huh. Like
yeah. But you're making a little bit of a breath like an English speaker's huh. Or I'm sorry, I'm American, and and it's American. I don't know how exactly you guys say it, but I say it like you say it, huh. Where I'm kind of breathing out harder. Whereas this to me sounds different. It's
Well, there's no H sound, and I almost heard it with Mike's. It almost sounded like huh, like an H, and there is no
agree,
H
Mike?
sound in French. I don't know if you're trying to say that or not, but the French have no H sound.
Yeah. So it's not the number one though. It's not. It's not.
Well, where are we here?
Like the
We're
final.
talking about this right here.
Oh,
Let-
oh, yeah, okay, yeah, Even
let's-
the number one, there's a history on these nasal vowels, and at one point, a good, it would have been something like un bon vin blanc, where the all four were pronounced separately, un bon vin blanc. But then that funny sound for the number one is often shifted to un bon vin blanc, or at least having the same, it's rhyming with the vin. So that most textbooks will teach 3 nasal vowels now, not 4, but you'll still hear it in speech sometimes. People will still make a distinction. And then there's this other funny thing that sound in modern French, I'm hearing it. I like to pronounce it that way, but I will hear it being pronounced more ah. And it's
Which
not
one?
the same as let's say the number one, UN.
Okay.
Or that sound in general, or even the sound in wine. I'll say vin. I say vin. But I will hear people say, French people say something closer to vin. And it's not the same as vin, where the jaw is more open. It's a very subtle thing. I can barely hear the difference, but they actually pronounce it differently in their mouth, the ones who do that. And the wine sound will still be with the lips spread, a smiley look on your face. I'll say vin. You might say vin, but it's not the same as the wind, V-E-N-T, vin, where the jaw is dropped and more open. And so I will hear like I said, I will hear some people say vin that sounds to me, to my ears, like the wind. It sounds close to vin, even though I know they're not doing it the same in their mouth.
Now, Mike, are you having as far as this one that we have here in this sound? Let's play it real quick so we can
let's hear
remember
that he
what it
says
sounds
it.
like.
C'est très rare de toute façon. Hein. C'est très rare de toute façon. Hein. C'est très rare de toute façon. Hein.
So,
Now, okay, Mike, do you have any questions about it, or are you just noticing that?
Yeah, I can hear it. I don't think I can make that sound.
Oh, okay.
But as I practice with it, I will try. I make much more of a H sound than I should. As you say, the French don't pronounce H ever, so.
Right. When you said it, when you said when you said it sounded like
Yeah.
I can't remember if you tried to pronounce this one or you said, that's their version of And when I hear you say like the English word I hear a sound that I don't expect in French, a hard breathing H.
Yeah, I need to practice.
You know what, though? You don't have to practice it because you don't have to say this word. You don't have to say that.
Yeah.
You can just, well, it is helpful. It's a helpful word because you're asking if the person follows you, if they agree with you. It is kind of helpful.
I'm more likely to say de toute façon, no?
You could get around it.
It rolls off easier for me that way.
Let's move on. You ready? Okay, here we go. Next little bit.
Disons qu'avant, un serveur, il n'avait pratiquement pas de salaire, mais vivait avec les pourboires. Disons qu'avant, un serveur, il n'avait pratiquement pas de salaire, mais vivait avec les pourboires. Disons qu'avant, un serveur, il n'avait pratiquement pas de salaire, mais vivait avec les pourboires.
Okay, anything about that to talk about?
Pratiquement, okay.
Tandis que là, maintenant, ça serait vivable de toute façon. Hein. C'est sûr que maintenant...
Yeah, why don't you play it one more time to see if there's anything funny in there? I was just trying to hear what they were saying and not looking at the script.
Okay.
Disons qu'avant, un serveur, il n'avait pratiquement pas de salaire, mais vivait avec les pourboires.
I think I got the may.
No, he'll say pratiquement and not pratiquement. which would be acceptable, but most of the time that he'll be left out and there'll be 3 syllables, pratiquement.
And Sandeep, I think you're talking about that made vive, very difficult to hear.
And
The
did he
may,
say
I got
pas
the
de
il vive,
oh,
but
go
the
ahead.
may I'm missing.
Oh, well, let's hear, and I want to,
Yeah.
if he's saying pas de salaire, exactly how he's saying that.
Okay.
Disons qu'avant, un serveur, il n'avait pratiquement pas de salaire, mais vivait avec les pourboires.
Yeah, I got it.
Disons
Ça veut dire c'est
qu'avant,
pas de salaire.
So I missed the may.
We've got interest on 2 different parts.
Oh.
I'll play this from the top. Ray's interested in the pas de salaire
Well, he said pas de salaire. I mean, he dropped that muti for sure. And that would be
instead of-
very typical.
instead of saying pas de salaire. He says pas
Yeah.
de salaire.
hmm
And then the made vive, I wouldn't expect
So,
you to.
I think he just picks up on it real fast afterwards, which is maybe why after salaire, it's not, maybe someone's ears are not picking it up so fast. But I did hear it.
disons qu'avant, un serveur, il n'avait pratiquement pas de salaire, mais vivait avec les pourboires.
Yeah, I heard of that time.
And in part because the French never pause between 2 vowels, 2 successive vowels. So you're not going to hear mais il, where we would put a little stop in the middle. In English, we're tempted to say mais il, but
Well, it's
He
actually
says
related to what we
may
said last time about
He
the
said
lack of
may
stopping. It's the lack of,
yes.
you get rid of that comma after salaire, then you'll hear the may.
Well, what also I'm saying, but there's no glottal stop between mais and il. English, or I'll hear the students might say mais il vive, but you'll hear him say mais il vive. Mais il vive. It's 2 syllables, but there's no glottal stop at all in the middle. The vowel sound just changes. Mais il vive.
Yeah. So does this type of thing,
Okay.
when he has made, does it work for you all to see the transcript and listen a few times and then you start to hear it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I'll play it one more time. Oops.
Disons qu'avant, un serveur, il n'avait pratiquement pas de salaire, mais vivait avec les pourboires.
And I think he's pronouncing this in here this time. And I don't really know why he chose to. Maybe it would sound too informal if he just said il avait pas. Maybe that sounds too informal, too offhand. I don't know. What do you think?
I can't judge it. It's acceptable to say it. Il avait pratiquement. Some people might drop it, some might not. I suspect there's no real reason except somebody's personal habits there, or he may be trying to. One wants to emphasize the negative a little bit more. Wouldn't make any. I don't think there's anything particularly grammatical or anything else about that.
We're going to listen to the last little bit, and since we're already at 50 minutes, I'd like to stop instead of going on to the next thing, because I also don't want to make people say, oh man, I'm going to go to this lesson. It's going to take me 2 hours out of my day. So what we'll do is we'll stop, and then I'm going to stick around and answer questions. I know that Sandeep has been working on the interview with the 2 people who are doing the marriage or getting married. And so we'll talk. I'll also show you where I'm going to upload the flashcards. Okay. But let's listen to this little bit. You see the first line here, and what surprises me is he's pronouncing the S on tandis que. Let's see. Let's play this.
Tandis que là, maintenant, ça serait invivable de toute façon. Hein. C'est sûr que maintenant, non, le pourboire, c'est pratiquement inexistant. Tandis que là, maintenant, ça serait invivable de toute façon. Hein. C'est sûr que maintenant, non, le pourboire, c'est pratiquement inexistant.
Mike, I've got a question for Mike, special question, Mike. Do you hear anything at the very end of this before he goes silent?
Tandis que là, maintenant, ça serait invivable de toute façon. Hein. C'est sûr que maintenant, non, le pourboire, c'est pratiquement inexistant.
No.
Okay. Do you hear un? You hear un, but a different version of un?
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't.
Let's listen for it. That's what I like about having a transcript. So oh no, I didn't write it in the thing, but I swear he says it. After inexistant, there's a un. But I need to maybe correct my little transcript here. So let's see. Let's play the whole thing. So we're following now with our eyes. Can we follow along and can we hear these words? And if there's a word we can't hear, ask me about it. Instead of, when you're on your own, you just listen 5 times till you hear it. But
Tandis que là, maintenant, bah, ça serait invivable de toute façon, hein. C'est sûr que maintenant, non, le pourboire, c'est pratiquement inexistant. Tandis que là, maintenant, bah, ça serait invivable de toute façon, hein. C'est sûr que maintenant, non, le pourboire, c'est pratiquement inexistant.
there's
I
a
didn't hear
right at the
anything,
end.
but okay,
You don't
I
hear it?
didn't hear it. Okay, I didn't. I heard the one up above after toute façon.
Yeah, okay, so we hear this one. This one is clearer.
I think so.
Okay, so
Oh, and something else that might catch people on these futures, or actually conditionals here. Ça serait. They
right.
won't pronounce it as 2 syllables. And almost always on those future conditionals, they won't say parlerai, they'll say parlerai.
Okay, parler. Let's
Ça
listen.
serait.
Yeah, I was having trouble with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's I'll play to that part. Oh, we have it twice here.
Mhm.
And then we'll focus in on it, okay? And at the end I'll show you this
Okay.
this
Tandis que là, maintenant, bah, ça serait invivable.
Okay, so
Oh, and you hear the tandiska, like the S pronounced in the next syllable.
yeah,
Tandiska.
where I'm used to
Tandis.
tandis que, and he says tandis que.
He pronounces the S, but then it has to move to the next open syllable
Tandis que.
occasion.
Oui, ska. He says ska, you mean?
Ska. Tandiska.
Now, okay, also to let you know, tandis que is kind of high level. It's a little bit more formal. I think what would you usually hear? More like maybe I don't know, something else. It was in one of the flashcards. I can't remember. You're going to usually hear alors que, something like that, instead of tandis que. So what are we listening for? We're listening for ce serait, no?
Ça serait
Okay, so
ça serait
ça serait.
ça serait
So the question is, now I'm hearing the I'm hearing the E, but maybe my brain is just filling it in.
I think it's filling it in because I can't believe you're hearing 3 syllables. Ça serait.
Okay. Like
ça serait
it's just clear as a bell for me.
I mean, I
ça
hear
serait
it.
Well, we might be
Sorry.
filling it in a little bit.
I honestly think you are because I don't think there's not time for 3 syllables in there. I hear the beats. And it's not ça serait, which would be even beats. Ça serait.
ça
You're hearing
serait
ça serait.
Yeah.
ça serait
Wow, we're already into the A.
Ça serait.
Yeah. So this is the sa.
Ça- ça- ça-
This is the serait.
serait
Serait.
serait
Serait.
serait
Maybe he's saying serait, but my brain doesn't hear it. My brain wants to hear serait, and it's maybe because, like Ray has mentioned before, a lot of what we hear is what we expect to hear, what we want to hear.
serait
So probably the takeaway though to know is that if you look at the transcript while you're listening and you see that that's what he's saying, your brain gets used to hearing it that way, and then you associate that sound pattern
ça serait
with what you see on the page, and then it all makes sense to you. I don't know if
But I think it is worth knowing that the French when they're speaking in groups, typically each syllable has sort of the same weight, sort of the same length.
Uh-huh.
And maybe the last one will get drawn out a little bit in a group to kind of let you know it's the end of a group. But ça serait, ça serait, ça serait, ça serait would be da-da-da. And you're hearing ça serait, da-da.
I see what you mean.
So
Yeah,
it's a sense of rhythm.
right. So additional proof that he's not really pronouncing the s. He's just saying ça serait, right? But wouldn't you agree that would you agree that there's a little bit of a mouth movement back there for the R? There's
the R is the S and the
Yeah.
R have to be there. So you have to go
yeah,
serait.
ça serait, ça serait,
That's
ça
right.
serait. Okay. Let's see. So Emily, good for you though. You hear it now, ça serait.
Yeah, that was really
Cool.
helpful
Okay.
to listen
And
to it 3
then-
times.
Okay. And then was there a question about c'est sûr? Let's play.
Après, ça sera invivable de toute façon, hein. C'est sûr que maintenant,
Okay, c'est sûr. It's very light. You don't hear it very well.
c'est sûr que
We'll really hear the sûr que, and we kind of know he says c'est sûr.
c'est sûr que
Yeah, I don't really hear the say. I don't hear this say. I just kind of know it's there from something about just being used to. What'd you say?
In the rhythm, there's a place for it. There's a slot for it to be said.
Right.
Somehow.
So part of this, the reason we hear things is because we've been listening to a lot of spoken French and we know what was really said or what was really intended. And so we're kind of learning even what the pauses are. We're kind of learning to fill things in because we're working with spoken French like this. So we,
And
And-
I'm going to say something else that's it's probably sort of my inference on this because I don't know how to get inside the French people's heads exactly. But I think they must be much more aware of the vowel sounds than we are in English. In English, for unaccented syllables, we negate almost all of our vowels and they just become out neutral sound, suspended. If it's not emphasized, it's just kind of a sound. And so we're focusing on the consonants all the time. And
right.
in the French, each vowel has its own very distinct sound. And if the syllable's there at all, that vowel sound is going to be there. And I think they're better at picking up on some of those things. So when they say serait or sorry, where was it that is hard to hear? Maybe
That
c'est
say
sûr,
that we
c'est
don't
sûr.
hear. Yeah.
The S sound is very faint, but you're going to hear the es sûr. You're going to hear a little bit of es sûr. You're going to hear something in there, and they're sensitive to those. They have to. I'm just saying they have to be because the vowel sounds are they're very distinctive there, much more than in English. And sometimes their consonants are so light that they're barely there.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can hear an A at all before that sûr. I think this is c'est sûr.
c'est sûr
Oh, I just hear this.
c'est sûr
Maybe. Do we hear an
Focus in the
A?
first half of that. I think you'll hear something.
de toute façon, hein. C'est sûr de toute façon, hein. C'est sûr
I'm hearing at least hearing an S sound. I'm hearing something. Es sûr.
Yeah, you might be right. I think it might be covered up by a little bit of a noise because we're recording this in a bar or a restaurant.
de toute façon, hein. C'est sûr
There's also a pause. There's a space there for it to be said. I would say if you're listening to this and you're not catching the c'est sûr, don't worry. There's no problem with you. Sometimes when we're listening to these recordings, we had 3 different people listening to them. So I would listen many, many times, try to get the transcript. And then we were listening while we're reading the transcript, making sure everything's there. And then I'm having my wife listen to it. And then there was another French native that I would have listen to these. And we went through these transcripts multiple times, marking up little things in green, saying, what did you hear? Did you hear this? So it was a lot of conversation. It's a lot of discussion sometimes. And when it got too crazy, we would just cut the sound because we didn't want things that were impossible. If there were some speakers might mumble sometimes, so tried to take mumbling out. But if you can't hear "c'est sûr," don't worry because there's a nod that you're going to expect the people kind of speak clearly to you when you go to France. So it's not always, it doesn't always happen. Was there, I'd like to, can we move on to the un that I say is after inexistant? All right, here we go.
C'est sûr que maintenant, non, le pourboire, c'est pratiquement inexistant.
Okay, so it's the way he says inexistant. He ends it with a little twist. So I hear like a like this might be, if I don't play the very end of this, I think I might be hearing inexistant.
Pratiquement inexistant.
Inexistant.
Pratiquement inexistant. Pratiquement inexistant.
That's almost all of inexistant, isn't it, probably?
Pratiquement inexistant. Pratiquement inexistant.
Okay, and I say the reason I hear the at the end is because I think maybe he's just perhaps dragging out and modifying just a little bit the vowel sound. So now that you've heard that a couple times, listen to this.
Pratiquement inexistant. Pratiquement inexistant.
Yeah.
Do you agree? You hear it now?
Pratiquement inexistant.
Okay, so what I need to do is tomorrow morning or this evening, I need to go in and change this so that you see there.
Actually, that's very similar to the voo-voo I sent you a few days ago.